Alright, fine. Cool. Let's keep things real for a second. The 5-0 win against Wrexham, it was enjoyable. It was fun. It was very entertaining. But keeping things real, we essentially destroyed a League 2 team. In that performance, is that necessarily going to tell us the full strengths and extent of this new system and way of playing? Absolutely not. However, my friends, the main takeaway from that performance is that this was an amazing introduction to all things Pochettino, because he introduced a new style of football that we haven't seen for a very long time. In that win, I was seeing wide overloads for days. I was seeing constant 5v4s down either flank. I saw players playing close to each other. I saw connections on the field. I saw positional freedom and rotations. And to top things off, this was a very dynamic game of football. It took me by surprise how sharp he looked already, and for me, these are the main takeaways that should definitely excite us. It wasn't necessarily about the result, it was more about how things was ticking together on the field. So tonight at 12 AM, we play against Brighton in our next pre-season game, and for me, this is going to be a much better determiner of our quality now. The Wrexham game was a very promising introduction to Pochettino's style of football, but I think against Brighton, they're going to highlight some of the weaknesses that we can improve upon and further fine-tune the system to make it a lot stronger. There were two small areas of concern, or not really concern, but observations that I made in the game. Number one, it felt like at times we were a little bit susceptible to counter-attacks down the flanks. Cool, makes sense, fullbacks are pushing up, but at the same time I felt like we looked a bit weak when it came to defending set pieces. The reality is, we aren't a very physically imposing team right now, and I think in this sense, Brighton are a very fitting opposition because they like to attack down the flanks, they have good set piece threat, they like to play possession football, they like to build up from the back as well too. So the major test today is, can we maintain that level of performance against Brighton tonight? Now naturally, now that we're playing Brighton in Philadelphia, all eyes are going to be focused now on Moises Caicedo. De Zerbi's came out firing a few shots in his press conference today, mentioning the fact that he doesn't know whether Caicedo may remain here before the season starts. But regardless, if he does go, they need to replace him because they're playing Europa League football, unlike us who got zero European football for next season. Naturally, you're expecting parties from our club and from Brighton to hold like proper formal talks now to try and finalise something now in Philadelphia. A party's getting involved, and my friends, for me, we pay whatever money to sign Caicedo. Like, did you see the double pivots in which you were building up with? Can you imagine Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez in that pivot together, helping us play out from the back? With that Reece James and Ben high and wide and Colwell and like Badia or Silva in behind? Come on, bro. That is going to instantly elevate Pochettino's ideas, and for me, we can't afford to miss out on Caicedo. So my friends, that's a little introduction now to our upcoming game against Brighton. To move on, I want to talk key points made in the press conference. Of course, I'm going to go through the predicted lineup as well too. I'm very excited for this one. And obviously, I'll give my prediction right in the end. So, my friends, hit that like button. Let's go over 2,500 likes. And before we get into anything, today's video is brought to you by Parimatch. Today's video is sponsored by Chelsea's official betting partner in Parimatch UK. Parimatch are currently offering new customers the opportunity to get £30 in free bets to use on any football market, including upcoming Chelsea friendlies, when you place a £10 bet on any football market. Now, to claim this promotion, you must create a Parimatch account, make a deposit of £10 or more, and opt into the promotion. You then need to place your first £10 bet on any football market on odds of 2.0 or higher. You must do all of this within 7 days of registering your account to qualify. Now, all the links you need are in the description below. Thank you to Parimatch UK for sponsoring today's video. Okay, so let's start things off by dissecting this press conference, and this time Pochettino was joined by Raheem Sterling, and I felt like Sterling gave us a bit of insight behind the contrast from now compared to that nightmare last season. Sterling mentioned that there's a bit of a different feel now to the squad dynamics, and naturally that's due to how many young players are currently at the club. Of course, due to the amount of young players here, Sterling was asked about whether he can help by aiding with his experience, and I felt like Sterling's answer was pretty interesting. He basically said, listen, in terms of the experience that I can provide, I can do that best on the fields. In terms of like shaping these guys, that's not really my style. And for me, I think that's more than fair, because for guys like Sterling that have been playing in the Premier League since they were 16 years old, You're going to receive a pass from a younger during the season, and they're going to pass that ball to you, hoping and feeling confident in your experience to score that goal, make that assist, play that cross, and this is where his experience must shine on that field. Now it seems like Sterling is very happy with preseason preparation. We all know tons of these guys were getting serious with their fitness during their personal holidays. Now they're finally working under Pochettino, life seems good, and as Sterling says, they're doing a ton of running and cardio work, and he really enjoys that, and he feels like this particular part of training actually gets the best out of him based on these types of repetitions. Sterling mentioned the fact that as last season was ending, he had to change up his diet, and that's mainly due to the fact that he put on a little bit of weight, but now he's controlling his diet now by eating less. And Pochettino actually joked about this by saying, listen, I could probably follow by Raheem Sterling's example. But it's nice to hear Sterling actually say, listen, the morale in the squad right now is very high. Everyone's really happy. Like, we all see these PR photos and clips all the time, but to actually know that behind the scenes life is good, for me, that's pretty promising. And to end things, of course, Raheem Sterling fully supported the appointment of Mauricio Pochettino. He feels like his team's always very hard to play against. He would have known that himself playing against his Spurs team as well too when he was at Man City. But he feels like Pochettino and his ideas definitely complement the guys here right now. So he's got Sterling's seal of approval. Let's now hear from Poch, the boss himself. Pochettino reiterated that Raheem Sterling is going to be important for the season, and he has full confidence in him. And I think that with the style of football that puts these wide guys in good positions, that's going to help. You know, Sterling said earlier that it's nice to play in a familiar role again on the left-hand side. Last season, the guy played on the right, he played on the left, he played in behind, he played as a striker. Players don't like being used here, there and everywhere. They need a bit of focus behind their game, yeah? And that's what Pochettino's here to provide. Pochettino gave us an update behind the captaincy situation by saying that that will get revealed before our first game against Liverpool. So maybe he's still assessing characters. You're looking at Ben, you're looking at Reece James, Silva, etc, etc. For me personally, you know, I echo the sentiments made by John Terry. Your captain has to be playing week in, week out. So that even gets me questioning now, should Thiago Silva necessarily get the armband based on experience? I'm not too sure. Pochettino is still hoping for some additions to come to the squad, but right now, it's not even much of a priority because the vibes are very good. The players are working hard and it seems like everyone is working together, and that's the most important thing. Pochettino revealed some insight behind his squad size for next season. Ideally for him, that ranges between 23 to a 25-man squad, including goalkeepers as well too. And he mentioned some crucial details, intangible stuff in this sport that actually matters by saying you don't want to have a situation where you've got a bloated squad essentially of 30, 35 plus, because then you're carrying a lot of demotivated players that come in every single week knowing that whatever they do isn't going to lead to them getting game time on the field. It's impossible for players to come into work every single day being happy, and I feel like this is where we take full accountability for creating this disharmony behind the scenes due to our poor management at times. So it's good that Pochettino knows, listen, I don't need everyone here. I want to work on a focused squad that will definitely get game time and is big enough to the point where these guys will come in, week out, motivated to try and impress the manager. That's the best for me. And of course, the end things, we get a bit of insight behind, you know, the recent now arrivals of Enzo Fernandez, Reece James, etc, etc. And Pochettino revealed that in his lineup today that there is going to be a bit of a mixture this time between the senior guys and the youth guys. I feel like the first game provided him an opportunity to just assess the quality levels between both. So now I'm curious to see how he's going to mix them together and what will be the team he decides to go with first. So my friends, press conference out the way. Let's now discuss the predicted lineup for tonight. Now that we've got some context provided by Pochettino that we're going to see a mixture today, I'm hoping that the mixture he decides to fall upon will consist of guys that had the most promising performances against Wrexham. And of course, I'm looking at guys like Kasede, Nkunku, Jackson, Maatsen, etc, etc. We did see that Pochettino used a 4-2-3-1 and a 4-3-3, and I'd be surprised if he didn't do the same thing again against Brighton. Another curious factor for me though is that now that players like James and Enzo are arriving, you know, Madueke, Mudryk, etc, etc, Tonight, they should be getting their first appearances of pre-season, but that will probably come at the expense of maybe certain young guys that started or got game time against Wrexham not being able to get on the field because some of the big boys now are here and they need to start their pre-season prep now. So, my friends, here is the lineup you're seeing on screen that I'm going for to start this game. And listen, disclaimer, but it doesn't necessarily matter who starts the game because it's pre-season. Second half will be a brand new lineup, you know what I mean? But again, this is the lineup I want to see start because I want to see the most promising guys connecting up right now. As you can see, 4-2-3-1. Up front, I've gone for Nicholas Jackson. In attack, I've gone for Sterling, I've gone for Nkunku, and I've gone for Angelo Gabriel. In midfield, I've gone for Andre Santos, and I've gone for Kaside as well too. And obviously in defence, that's Ian Maatsen. That's Humphreys, that's Jalaba, that's Gusto, and that's probably Cummings in goal as well too. For me, listen, Nkunku and Jackson, I want to kind of see how these guys can play off together. I felt like when Jackson performed in that first half against Wrexham, he made a lot of stuff happen just based on the runs or the times he would revert deeper. It encouraged a lot of movement, and I feel like Nkunku always loves someone to link up with, ideally a striker like this who has that tech and footwork. So seeing how these guys combine, maybe even possibly, rotate positions. Maybe sometimes Nkunku might move up front. Maybe sometimes Jackson might move deeper. I mean, we saw how Nkunku was allowed that freedom to drift to the left-hand side and he would swap positions with Raheem Sterling. I like little details like that because that constantly gets the opposition double guessing and thinking because they have a new danger that they have to deal with. In midfield, you know what? I do want to see Santos and Kaside again. I feel like Kaside was just so imperious against Wrexham. Listen, of course, it's only Wrexham, but the fact that he absolutely was one of the guys to steal the show compared to the rest of his teammates, that has to be realised and seen. And could he be a dark horse to even remain in this squad for next season based on that performance? If he can maintain this against Brighton tonight, I think that could go a long way in helping him remain here for this season, and he becomes a very interesting and exciting prospect. And obviously Andre Santos most definitely is staying here. Pochettino is very impressed by him as well too. He will be the understudy to Kaside and he'll get a lot of game time. So next season, could that be Kaside, Santos, Kaside, hopefully Enzo, and maybe one more mid? That would be more than enough to suit playing in a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3. And obviously, I got to see Ian Maatsen play. The guy scored a double playing as a left winger. I want to see what he does now playing in a more familiar position, playing a bit deeper now. And I want to see how he combines and helps in the build-up and how he overlaps and links up too. I felt like his performance was better than Cucurella's. And I keep the same energy for Gusto, who also looked quite impressive against Wrexham. One or two times there was a counter-attacking behind him, but in terms of how he helped us play out from the back and move up the field, and the combination plays with Kaside and Moreira on the right hand side, the guy was looking good. And obviously Humphreys and Jalaba for now with Cummings and goal kind of speaks for itself. So that's the starting lineup. And then second half, I'm looking forward to seeing Enzo come on the field, playing a bit deeper and having that license to push up like how we saw Kaside do. I'm looking forward to seeing what guys like Madueke can do on that right hand side. I'm looking forward to seeing what your Sterlings can do, Lewis Halls, etc, etc, and of course Ben and Reece James too. So my friends, that is my starting lineup. Share your thoughts and opinions below. What lineup do you want to see start this game, yeah? And now let's end things with my match prediction. And to keep things brief, maybe I'm being naive, but I'm fully here for the positive vibes I'm seeing right now, yeah? So I'm going to be going for a 3-1 win. I just kind of feel like with this type of football, it really complements and suits the attacking nature that Pochettino is trying to bring. I've been saying this for so long, but I hope you guys get what I mean now. Over the past few seasons, people complaining about creativity, but we do nothing to try and foster and harness creativity. There's no creative runs. There's no unpredictability in our game. The positioning is always high and wide, and it's about stifling our opponents more compared to influencing our game on our opponents. Pochettino making these guys compact together, play close together, constant rotations, constant support by each other. That's what opens up positive avenues, yeah? And I'm feeling optimistic that we put in a bit of a sexy performance tonight against Brighton. So my friends, I'm going to be going for a 3-1 win. And that's going to be the end for today's video. So hit that like button, share your thoughts and opinions. How do you feel about this game? And make sure you guys check out my video on Kylian Mbappe. Can we complete this window? My guys will find out. So I'm Nini FC. This is Blue Lions TV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos.